Themes of geography, human environment interaction. This is the last of the five themes of geography that we will study, so let's get to it. Okay, so there are three things that when we mention human beings and interacting with the environment, there are three ways that we as people interact with our environment. We can either adapt, modify, or depend on the environment. So the first one we will get to is adaptation. So what I want you guys to do is write down the definition of adapting, and right now what that is. Adapting is when human beings change themselves in order to more efficiently interact with their environment. So once again, the definition for adapt is when human beings change themselves in order to more efficiently interact with the environment. So some examples of human beings interacting with the environment are, one, wearing sunglasses. We wear sunglasses in bright weather, or especially now. Or early in the mornings. If you're driving early in the morning, you'll wear sunglasses to keep the sun out of your eyes. Also, during the wintertime, we as human beings wear a lot of, we wear heavier clothes, especially in places where it's cold. It doesn't occur too often like that in Louisiana. I think I wore my heavy coat twice last year, and I just think I wore it not because it was cold enough, but, you know, I paid good money for that coat, so I figured I had to at least get it out the closet and wear it once or twice. But I digress. Getting back. Wearing a heavy coat in the wintertime is a way that we as people change ourselves, and so in a way so that we can better interact with our environment. Also, the last one, putting on an umbrella in the rain, using an umbrella in the rain to keep the rain off us. That is another way that we change ourselves in order to better interact with our environment. That brings us to modifying. Okay, so what I want you to do is just think about modifying being the exact opposite of adapting, okay? In adapting, we change ourselves in order to interact with our environment. When you modifying, we as people change the environment around us. We change our environment around us. So make sure you have that written down. Humans change the environment around us so that we can, humans change the environment around us so we can better interact with it more efficiently. Some examples of modifying the environment are to cut down trees. Another example is when we build bridges to get us from one place to another, from one end of a lake or an area to another. And here's another bridge. And another example is when we build roads to make it easier to travel across distances. And the last one, the last way that we as humans interact with the environment is that we depend on the environment. So I want you to write down this definition for depending, is when people rely on the environment to provide resources. So when we say that people depend on the environment, we mean that when people rely on the environment to provide resources. And some examples are solar energy, wind energy, fossil fuels. We say fossil fuels, we mean things like oil, gas, all those things. Petroleum, we use those things to make plastics and pretty much everything in our day-to-day lives. That is what we say, that is what we mean when we say human beings depend on the environment. We also use the oceans to provide food for us. And we use the land to grow crops. These are all ways that we depend on the environment. All right, the end. Fill out your notes guide. Answer any questions that you have, but do not answer any questions that are in the black box. Have a good day.